Hello there, I'm Natalie Anderson. I teach at Orchard Hills Elementary in Santa Quinn, Utah. I'm a regular 6th grade teacher. I've taught most of the levels, 1st, 2nd, 4th, 6th, resource, self-contained.
And how many years?
And I've been teaching it this will be my 33rd year. When I first started my career, I was teaching resource. And I remember feeling absolutely lost. I remember going to the district office and asking the people there, what can I use? What's available to me? And nobody seemed to know. So I was stumbling around for 4 or 5 years using Distar and a whole bunch of different things that were in the attic. And I made my way, and I made my way pretty good. And then I went to a 1st grade classroom, and we were working with a gentleman that brought back the Reading Horizons program and showed it to us one day, and showed us the little chalkboards that we put all along our wall for all the 1st graders to stand by. And just that first day, knowing that I found something that was actually going to work for those kids, and I wasn't pulling a piece here and I wasn't pulling a piece here, it was all coming together. I knew as soon as those 1st graders lined up at their chalkboard that each and every one of those kids was going to find success, and that I was going to feel good about what I was teaching with Reading Horizons. I knew from the highest kid to the lowest kid, once they started to put those letters on that board and put the vowels with it and look around and know that they had this big smile on their face, that they could compete with everybody in the room. It was a wonderful feeling. I liked that the program started with the very first piece of the puzzle and didn't throw 6 or 7 puzzle pieces at the kids. It was the first piece, and then the second piece, and then the third one, and then the kids could actually see how the puzzle pieces fit together. My perspective, I don't know if it changed, but it grew. Because until that time, I'd been working with resource kids and just individual students. Now I could see a whole group of kids coming together, and I could see where the program would fit if I needed to call back a certain group for more instruction and a different kind of instruction for the upper grades or the kids that were at a higher level. And I was able to adapt the Reading Horizons program to 1st grade, 2nd grade, 4th grade, and 6th grade. And now where I'm teaching 6th grade, I use it as the spelling program. So the kids aren't memorizing a word, they are learning why we spell words the way we do. I remember the first time that we went all the way through the program and got all the training, and a man by the name of Ed Schellenberger really helped us. And I remember driving down the street looking at billboards, decoding words off of a billboard, reading a novel and decoding the words and going, oh, I get it. I was having light bulb moments, and that's kind of scary for a person as old as I am to keep having these light bulb moments, but thank goodness I am. So I continue to have those light bulb moments, and I always question myself, so this word must be from a different country, or this word must be from here, or where does this word come from if it's spelled like this or grouped like this in the different phonemes. So when we first did it, I'm trying to remember the great woman's name. I think it was Linda Eversole, and I had a blue loose leaf book. It wasn't a binder, it wasn't in a regular reading program, it was just page that was punched and put in a loose leaf. And we went through that step at a time, and turned the page. And I would say it was probably, we started it off at the beginning of the year, and then by Christmas, January, that's when things just really clicked. And at the end of the year, we had a spell down with all the 1st graders and put whiteboards in the auditorium, and people came and watched, and they were flabbergasted about what the kids had learned in just 1 year of 1st grade. And then those teachers who were teaching it again in 2nd grade, they got a second battering. And then I moved to 4th grade. And when I moved to 4th grade, and I got some of those same students again, I was so tickled with their progress. And I felt so bad for the kids who had moved in our building in 3rd or in 4th, and they never got that base. And so many parents commented, well, my child, she got this base where Kevin didn't, And they would comment, and they would want their kids in that intensive Reading Horizons program. Well, I think I had a better understanding. And once I had a better understanding of how things worked, then I was able to communicate that to my students. You know, I always have lots of things up on my walls. And when I start out with just the letters, and then I go with the blends, and I have them posted all over my wall. So when a teacher comes in, they're like, what's all this? You know, and they'll look at what I call the big five, the 5 decoding skills, and then marking the 2 big markings. My mind's kind of gone blank there for a minute. And they're like, what's all this? What's all this? And I start to show them how we decode a spelling word, and they're just totally amazed. And I've been to several different buildings in my career, and every once in a while we'll get a new teacher, or I'll go to a new building and they'll go, oh, what's that? Oh, I've seen that somewhere. Now you do that? You know how to do that? Will you show me how to do that? Can I use some of your stuff? And it's kind of fun to see which teachers are exposed to it and which teachers would like to be offered those materials. Very favorite thing? I think the kids in first grade who had reading horizons, their handwriting stands out, and they know where to put the letters. Their letters aren't floating above the line. They're not sinking below the line. They can actually read their own work. When I go into a first grade classroom to do buddy studies with my 6th graders now, and we go in to help the first graders, and those first graders can't read their own writing, it's because their letter formation, they haven't decoded properly, they're guessing. And so when we come back to the classroom and I say to my 6th graders, okay, if first graders had this information, would it have been easier to help them today? And they always say yes. So I like that it takes the guessing out of spelling for a 1st and 2nd grader. I like that its letter formation works and improves their self-confidence when they know they can write it, when they know they can read their own work. And when I've taught it to older kids, they have those light bulb moments and say, oh, I know why now. This makes sense to me, where it didn't make sense to them before. I was at the middle school, Payson Middle School, and a lot of the secondary teachers assume that kids, when they get to 6th grade, because it was a 6th and 7th grade school, that 6th graders should know how to read. Well, that's kind of a big assumption. And so the kids all come from 10 different elementary schools, and they all come into the different classrooms, and the social studies teacher starts to complain. The science teacher starts to complain. Everybody starts to complain that this kid can't read, even though he's not in resource. And that kid needs help. And what am I going to do? Because I can't do any work if he can't read already. So the principal at the time, Barbara Quackenbush, she had used the program with, a special school that she was working at with unwed mothers who had struggled in school. And she knew that I had taught it to her own children and that I had used it at different elementaries that her own children had been to. And she asked me if I was still working with that program. I said, absolutely. And she said, we need to make a class. And she says, I will manipulate it with the district so that it's a language arts class, that it isn't resource, but we're going to put kids in your class, in this language arts class, and you're going to teach them the Reading Horizons program. So we're going to call it language arts, and they were in-betweeners. They really didn't have the skills that they needed. And so pretty soon that class started out with 6 or 7, and it was only one period. And then it got up to like 14, and then it got up to 18. So when the counselors at the office, they were like, what are we going to do with this kid? He's just checked into the school, and look at his scores. Where is he going to go? Put him in Mrs. Anderson's language arts class. Put him in there. So then we had to have 2 periods because this program was working so well with the English language learners, the Hispanic population in our area, and also with the kids who just missed so much school, or they just didn't get it. And finally they had an opportunity to use the Reading Horizons program, which was awesome. I think I saw the most gain myself when they shared the year-end test results with us. I saw the most gain in the spelling categories. They were able to recognize all the different letter patterns and didn't hesitate to see those. So their scores really went up there. And that's where I saw the biggest gain, was with the spelling with the 6th graders. And then with the decoding and with definitions, how they would take apart the words and understand a piece of the word, the root word, they would know the meaning and be able to get the suffix or the prefix with it. So I think their results went up dramatically, and that pleased the establishment.